Presenting Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways.
CX-4 calling control tower. CX-4 calling control tower. Standing by.
Control tower, back to CX-4. Wind southeast, ceiling 1200. All clear.
Okay, this is Hop Harrigan coming in.
Yes, it's America's ace of the airways, coming in for another transcribed episode in the adventures of Hop Harrigan. Fellas and girls, before we join Hop and Tank, I'd like to tell you about the important work done by 2 of the 4 government air forces. You've all heard of what the Army and Navy are doing in the air, but did you know that both the Department of Agriculture and the Department of the Interior have their own air fleets? Oh, I thought you didn't. Well, their planes don't worry about smashing enemy cities or sinking submarines. Their job is to save billions of dollars of our money. That's right. They save your parents a lot of money every year. The Agriculture Department keeps a fleet of 15 planes whose job it is to lick such crop destroyers as the Japanese beetle and the boll weevil. Equipped with specially designed sprays, the planes zoom over treetops and fences to destroy these pests. We already know that spraying from the air is much, much faster than the old way of doing it from the ground. You remember I told you about Ken Tyler's fine work? One plane in only one day can do the same amount of work it would ordinarily take 70 men to do in 5 weeks. But even with these latest aerial bug blitzing techniques, scientists have a gigantic job on their hands. The Department of Agriculture says insects ruin from $2 to $4 billion worth of crops and trees every year, and the damage is going up. Nevertheless, the air fleet is working hard to wipe out the pests wherever they're found. Gang, in just a few moments, I'll be back to tell you what the Department of the Interior uses planes for. So don't forget to listen. And now to our story. The mysterious stranger who constantly whistles the mournful strains of Chopin's funeral march has claimed another victim. This time, big, lumbering tank tinker. Hop, Gail Nolan, and Bill King, a reporter, searched the entire fairgrounds where Tank was last seen, but no results. So finally, Hop phoned John Temple of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, who promised immediate help. Then suddenly he remembered one place they had missed, and with Gail raced back to the fairgrounds. Pushing their way through the crowded midway, they reached the funhouse, turned the corner into a small side alley, expecting to see the giant yellow balloon, which advertised the carnival, swaying on its mooring. But the balloon was gone. One of the roustabouts explained why. Some dumb jerk around here let go the brake in a cable, and the balloon pulled itself loose.
Hop. When did it happen?
Less than 5 minutes ago. There, if you look sharp, you can still see it.
Where?
Straight up, that way. See the little lantern hanging from the bottom of the basket?
Oh, I see it.
Now, that's the balloon, ma'am, and she's really traveling fast. Lord knows where she'll come down.
Hop, this is terrible.
Listen, what are you doing about getting it back? Have you called the police?
Yeah, the boss is taking care of it now. But if you ask me, we ain't never going to see the thing again. She's chock full of helium, and she'll keep going up until she busts from the pressure.
Oh, no.
Say, what are you two doing here?
Oh, hello, Bill.
I thought you were going back to the office to wait for Temple's call.
No, we did. Listen, Bill, you didn't happen to look in the basket of the balloon this afternoon, did you?
I know, I didn't. But ain't that something, huh? What a laugh. Suddenly, all at once, whoop, up she goes.
Bill, it's nothing to laugh about. Hop thinks Tank is in the basket.
Are you kidding?
That's the only place he could have been.
Well, I don't know.
The balloon was moored right next to the funhouse. Tank could have been carried out the back way and thrown into the basket with no one the wiser.
Well, I'll be. And we were walking all around it this afternoon. I passed it a dozen times myself.
Hop, we're wasting time. What are we going to do about that balloon?
I don't know. I can't seem to
You
think.
heard what he said. It'll go higher and higher until
Katie,
it burns.
look, there's no sense getting so excited. Chances are 100 to 1 Tank isn't in the basket.
Well, we've got to worry about the one chance that he is.
You're right, Gail. Come on.
Hey, wait a minute. What are you going to do?
Chase it. See if I can force it down.
How?
I don't know. I'll work out something. And, Bill, you can help me.
Sure thing.
Get hold of the sheriff. He has a shortwave radio in his car. Borrow the car and trail us. I'll give you directions from the plane.
Well, suppose he won't give it to me.
I'll call him from the field. He'll give it to you, all right.
Go ahead now, and work fast.
You bet. Talk to you over the radio.
Okay. Let's go, Gail. We've got to get out to the field and up in the air in no time flat.
Dark. You think we'll be able to find the balloon?
Well, the lantern under the basket's our only chance.
Yes, I know it.
Hey, look, there's the carnival below us. The wind's due north, so we'll change course now. Hang on.
It's been at least a half hour since the balloon broke loose. How far could it have gone?
I checked weather before we took off. The wind has an 18-mile velocity, so it's at least 9 miles away. That doesn't worry me so much as the altitude.
Hop, when we find it, how can we force it down?
What's this?
A rifle.
Yes. I'll shoot a few holes in it so the gas will leak out.
But suppose it leaks out too fast.
Don't think about it. Keep your eyes open now. I'm going to call Bill King.
Oh, all right.
Bill King from Harrigan. Bill King from Harrigan. Can you hear me? Come in. Over.
You're going to have him follow us on the ground and pick up Tank when he lands, right?
Right. Come on, Bill. Answer, will you?
Maybe he's not in the sheriff's car yet.
Hello, Bill King from Harrigan. Bill King from Harrigan. Come in. Come in. Over.
Well?
Hello. This is Bill King.
There he is.
Go ahead.
Listen, Bill, are you all set?
Yeah, we're on the main highway now, about a mile west of town, cruising.
Who's we?
The sheriff came along. He wouldn't let me take the car out alone.
Good. He knows the roads better than you do. Now, listen. We're about 2 miles north of the carnival, holding a northerly heading. We'll pass Dave's service station on the highway in about a minute. You head for there.
Dave's service station on the highway. Got it.
As soon as you get there, check in. I'll give you further direction.
Have you spotted the balloon yet?
No, I'll let you know when we do. Don't worry.
Okay. That all?
That's all. Don't forget to check in at the service station.
The sheriff says we'll be there in about 5 minutes.
Okay. Signing off. They're on the way, Gail. How about it? See anything?
Nope, nothing. Black as pitch out there. No stars.
All the better. Be easier to spot the lantern.
That's what I thought, but there's no sign of it. Hop, what if it's gone out?
If it has, then our chances are practically zero.
Her face pressed against the glass of the cabin door, Gail stares out into the night, straining for a glimpse of a telltale flicker of light that will mark the runaway balloon, as Hop climbs higher and higher, racing the Beechcraft in a desperate attempt to catch up before it's too late. The minutes pass slowly. Bill King checks in again, and Hop gives him further directions, keeping the reporter as close to his position as possible. Then, after another half hour of fruitless looking, Gail suddenly sits bolt upright, peers intently upward, and grabs Hop's arm.
Hop, I think I see it.
Where?
Straight up and ahead. There.
Uh-huh. Hang on, we'll go see. Gail?
Yes?
There's a flare pistol in the panel compartment in front of you. Get it.
I have it.
You know how to work it?
You pull the trigger.
Release the safety catch first.
Oh,
Open the side window on your side and stand by to let one go.
right. Ready?
Point it straight out and forward. Ready. Ready.
We're level with the light now.
Wait. Okay, now. Watch closely.
Hop, it is the balloon.
Great.
And Tank's in the basket. He's in the basket. He's waving.
Take it easy, fella. We'll get you down. Don't worry.
Hop, he can't hear you.
I know it, but it makes me feel better. Gail, how's your eye?
Fine.
Then grab the rifle.
Got it.
I'll call Bill again.
You know where we are?
Uh-huh. Over Carson's Woods.
There's a road running through it.
Yeah, I know. Bill King from Harrigan. Bill King from Harrigan. Come in. Over.
Go ahead, Hop. This is Bill.
Where are you now?
On Route 106, about 5 miles south of Middleburg. So the sheriff tells me.
Listen, we found Tank.
Good for you. Where?
Over Carson's Wood. That's about 2 miles west of you. Take 106 to the next intersection north. Turn left and you'll be on the road leading into the woods.
Left at the next intersection. Got it.
I'll keep shooting off flares so you can spot it.
Swell. We'll be there in no time flat. Anything else?
That's all. Signing off. Okay, Gail, you ready?
Anytime you are.
I'll swing a little closer for you.
Poor Tank, he looks scared to death. I'll shoot him.
Okay, how about it? Lined up?
Yep.
Put your shots into the top of the bag.
How many?
3. Let's see what happens.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Ah, you hit with all of them. Nice going, Gail.
Anything happening?
No. Look at Tank. He can't figure out what we're trying to do.
Hop, the balloon's settling a little, isn't it?
Yeah, seems to be. Give it one more.
Sure it'll be all right?
I think so. Put it near the top again. Bullseye. Hey, wait. Wait, Gail.
What's the matter?
The top of the balloon. The fabric's ripping.
What?
You see it? She's going down fast.
Too fast. Oh, Hop, what have we done?
In the eerie blue-white light of the flare, Hop and Gail see the massive balloon whip around in the wind and start a long, plummeting descent earthward as the tear in the top of the fabric gradually widens, permitting the gas to escape. In their efforts to help Tank, have Hop and Gale sealed his death warrant? We'll know in a moment, gang, so stand by. At the beginning of Hop Harrigan, I told you that the Department of Interior has an air fleet of its own. Well, their job is to count every single wild animal in the country. That sounds fantastic, doesn't it? But it's not as difficult as it sounds. With the help of the latest photographic equipment, the planes take pictures wherever the pilot sees wild animals or birds. Then all that has to be done is to count up all the dots on the pictures, each dot being one animal or bird. Well, now, even that sounds like an impossible task. But believe me, it's 1,000 times easier than counting them one by one. Another use for the department's planes is to scare the birds away from our southern rice fields, the thousands of birds which eat up a large part of the crop. But once a plane comes in low and buzzes them, they don't hang around long. Protecting our country's wildlife is another of the department's many assignments. Poachers of birds and fish are hard to spot from the ground unless you're Johnny on the spot. But from the air, rangers can see for miles in all directions and find it much easier to locate these thieves. Hiring pilots for this work is a job in itself. Most of the things I've told you about involve long, nerve-wracking hours of flying about 15 feet above treetops and hedge-hopping houses, barns, and telegraph poles. Many flyers with great records in the war were only too happy to yell uncle after only a few bug-dusting missions. The best pilots for this work are either veteran barnstormers or ex-Army flyers. If you're really interested in flying or any part of aviation, don't neglect any of your schoolwork. The harder you study now, the easier it will be for you later on. Above all, gang, always remember, America needs flyers. And now back to our story. Locating the runaway balloon, Hop ordered Gale to shoot 4 times into the fabric in order to release the gas and allow it to settle earthward with Tank. But suddenly the balloon plunged earthward. Following it down in the Beechcraft in a long spiral, they discharged white flares, calling Bill King and the sheriff to the scene, and in the bright glare, they see the massive gas bag plunge into the trees below. Circling, they wait for word from Bill King.
Hop, do you think there's a chance the tank's all right? He went down so terribly fast.
Now, the trees may have broken the fall.
If that thing happened to him, I'll never forgive myself.
I told you to fire the last shot, Gale. It's not your fault.
Why doesn't Bill call us? Why is he taking so long?
He may be having trouble reaching Tank.
Harrigan from King.
Here he is.
Harrigan from King. Come in.
Go ahead, Bill. Did you find Tank? Is he okay?
We found him all right, but,
But what?
Hop, I'm afraid.
he's hurt. He's hurt bad. Hop, I don't know much about these things. The way it looks to me, well, there isn't much hope.
Slowly, reluctantly, Bill King transmits his message. And as his voice crackles tonelessly through the earphones, Gale and Hop sit stunned. For thrills and suspense, gang, don't miss tomorrow's episode. It'll keep you on the edge of your seats. So be sure to tune in and fly with Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airwaves. So long, Hop. We'll be seeing you same time, same mutual station. Hop Harrigan is a transcribed, copyrighted feature appearing in All American Comics magazine. Presenting Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways.
CX-4 calling control tower. CX-4 calling control tower. Standing by.
Control tower, back to CX-4. Wind southeast, ceiling 1200. All clear.
Okay. This is Hop Harrigan coming in.
Yes, it's America's ace of the airways, coming in for another transcribed episode in the adventures of Hop Harrigan. Not very long ago, fellas and girls, the Navy and Lockheed Aircraft Company out in Burbank, California, unveiled one of the largest planes ever built for the United States Navy. It's the Lockheed Constitution, weighing 92 tons. Imagine that, 92 tons. You'd get a better idea of the tremendous size of the Constitution if you could stand next to its tail. It's 50 feet high. In other words, as high as a 5-story building. And as for passengers, well, this is where this new ship is right on top. There are 2 decks on the plane. The upper deck is only for passengers, seating 92. There's room for another 76 on the lower deck, plus a lot of cargo. The cabin is fully pressurized and can keep a set pressure at an altitude of 25,000 feet. For the eating comfort of the passengers, the Constitution has a very large galley, which can serve up to 300 hot meals on every flight. As for speed, it can do over 300 miles an hour, and its range is more than 6,000 miles. The ship does just what the Navy wanted it to do. It's a high-speed, long-range, land-based transport, and it can take either passengers or priority cargo almost any place in the world in a real hurry. The 4 Pratt & Whitney engines develop 12,000 horsepower. But a new wing design built into the plane will permit the Navy to put gas turbine power into use in the future for greater speed and efficiency. In just a few minutes, I'll be back to tell you more about the new Lockheed Constitution, so don't forget to listen. And now to our story. Suddenly realizing the tank, who has been missing since early afternoon, must be in the basket suspended from the carnival balloon, Hop and Gail Nolan rushed back to the fairgrounds, only to discover that the balloon had broken loose from its mooring. So Hop gave chase in the Beechcraft, while Bill King followed in the sheriff's radio-equipped squad car. An hour later, Hop and Gail caught up to the balloon, and Gail fired 4 shots into the top of it to release the helium and force it back down to Earth. But the shots landed too close to each other, the fabric tore, and the balloon plummeted earthward at a dangerous rate of speed. Circling over the spot where it landed, Hop anxiously waited for a report from Bill King, and when it came, Hop's worst fears were realized.
I just found him, Hop. And it doesn't look good. Tank's in a bad way.
Ordering Bill to take the mechanic directly to the hospital, Hop flew back to the airport and left Gail at the house to tell Aunt Agatha what had happened. And as we continue now, he's just reached the hospital himself, where he finds the sheriff and Bill sitting glumly on a bench.
Bill. Hey, Bill.
Oh, Hop. Gosh, I'm glad you got here.
Evening, Hop.
Oh, hello, Sheriff. How is he? What did the doctor say?
Haven't heard yet. He's still inside. That's his room.
Oh, well, he was still alive when you got here, wasn't he?
Yep.
Just about.
He must have been thrown clear when the balloon hit. I found him about 10 feet away from the basket.
And he never regained consciousness?
Nope, not for a second.
Oh, Tank, he's a pretty sick boy right now. Yeah, he is.
Oh, Lord, if I only hadn't told Gail to take that extra shot.
Huh? What extra shot?
Well, that's how we forced the balloon down, Sheriff. Shot into it to release the gas.
Looked like the gas was coming out too fast, Hop. That balloon really hit hard.
Yeah, sure did that, all right.
Oh, you found it right away?
Head, and when I caught up to him, he'd already found him.
Then we carried him back to the car, and I called you over the shortwave set, and you know the rest.
Well, when did you get here?
Oh, about 10 minutes ago. No more, wouldn't you say, Sheriff?
Yeah, no more than 10 minutes. Well, I got to get rolling now. Sorry about Tank, Hop. Sure hope you'll pull through.
Oh, thanks.
Let me know as soon as something happens. Well, good night.
Good night, Sheriff. As soon as something happens. What's he think this is, a movie?
Yeah, slide over, will you, Bill? My legs are folded.
Oh, sure. Can I get you some water?
No, I'm all right.
You don't look all right.
It's just the strain of the last 24 hours. We've been on the go almost continuously.
Yeah. I really let you in for something, didn't I, Hop?
I'll say you did.
Well, everything will be okay from now on.
I wish I was so sure.
Nothing's going to happen to Tank. He'll come out of it okay. And then he'll tell us who the guy is who whistles, and the case will be broken wide open.
You bet it will. We're getting somebody who can really handle it.
What do you mean?
John Temple's on his way down.
John Temple?
Yes. You knew I called him.
Yeah, but I never thought I could make it. Hey, what'd you do that for, Hop?
Huh?
I told you I wanted to handle this myself. It's my story. I can scoop the country on it. Now, with him here, there'll be a dozen other reporters sticking their noses in.
Look, pal, I told you once before I'm not interested in stories or publicity or anything. Tank's in danger. Hey, somebody's coming out of Tank's room.
It's the doctor.
Come on. Oh, Doctor.
Yes?
How is he? Tank Tinker, I mean.
Oh, he's doing as well as can be expected.
Well, just how bad is it, Doctor?
Well, he suffered a pretty bad blow in the head. There's evidence of concussion, but no actual bone damage in the skull.
Well, then he'll be all right. He'll pull through.
Well, there's a good chance. Next 12 hours will tell a story, I believe. If he gets complete rest, it should be all right.
May I see him?
Well,
Oh, just for a second, sir.
maybe you better not, huh?
Oh, please, Doctor.
If you don't do anything to excite him, violent shot now might prove fatal.
Oh, I promise, sir. I'll be very careful.
Oh, well, this way.
Thanks, sir. Thanks a million.
Hop, I'll be going along.
Huh? Where?
Back to the house, I guess. There's no point in my hanging around here.
Oh, all right. Tell Gail and Aunt Agatha I'll be along soon. And tell them everything's going to be fine.
Sure thing. See you later.
Okay, Bill.
Now, Mr.
My name is Harrigan, Hop Harrigan.
Oh, yes. Patience called out your name and is delirium. Might be a very good idea for you to see him. There he is, behind the screen.
Ah, his head's all bandaged. Did you operate?
No, merely dressing. That was quite a blow he received. Do you know how he got it?
He was thrown out of a gas balloon that came down too fast to hit his head against a tree.
Strange. Here he is.
Is it all right to talk to him?
Well, you can try. I don't know if he'll respond.
Tank? Tank? He's so pale.
Shock.
Doctor, listen.
Speak to him again.
Tank. Tank, can you hear me?
Dirty double-cross.
Tank!
Softer, Mr. Harrigan.
I'll get you. I'll fix you so you won't make nobody disappear again.
Still delirious.
Tank, it's Hop. Hop is here.
Hop?
Good.
That's
good.
right. How you doing, pal?
Hop. I saw him. I saw him.
The man who whistles?
Yeah. I know who he is.
Who, Tank?
It's...
Mr. Harrigan, I'm afraid we'll have to cut this short. You're exciting him too much.
Oh, 1 second, Doctor. Who is it, Tank?
Now, look, that's enough, Mr. Harrigan. I told you excitement might prove fatal.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, take it easy, Tank. Forget it now and rest.
You've got to get him.
Yeah, sure. Later. You go to sleep now, pal. We'll take care of him later.
Yeah, later. Okay, pal.
Mr. Harrigan.
All right, sir. Coming. So long, Tank. I'll see you later.
Okay. Be seeing you. Be seeing.
As Tank settles back on the pillow, his face white and drawn, Hop turns away from him and walks out of the room. He knows his pal's condition is still serious, but in a short while, if everything goes well, he'll have the answer to the mystery of the vanishing men. But will he? You won't want to miss the end of today's episode, gang, so stand by. At the beginning of Hop Harrigan, I told you about the new Lockheed Constitution. Well, now I've got some more interesting information for you all about this big Navy transport. I've already told you about its speed and carrying ability. Now I want to talk about its safety features. With as many as 180 people riding in the plane, the Navy wants to be as sure as humanly possible that it's safe. First of all, because of the airtight, pressurized cabin, the Constitution can attain a high altitude and fly above bad weather. And to fight icing conditions at high altitudes, a complete set of anti-icers is ready to go to work on the frost. Another safety feature is one that most passenger planes have had for a long while now, an automatic fire detector. It not only finds the fire, but tells exactly where it is. And when the flight engineer is warned that a fire has broken out, he can start an extinguisher system capable of putting out flames anywhere in the plane. You know, gang, when the Constitution was first built, something really new was built into it. Man-sized tunnels right in the wings allow for inspection and repair of engines and other parts in that particular section. Landing gears and the braking machinery can also be easily reached while the plane is flying through the air. And in landing, or just taxiing around, each of the 8 main wheels in the landing gear has its own brake for quick stops on the runway. Even though the Constitution is one of the newer transport planes, there are many more now in the planning stage. Fellas and girls, whether you take part in the engineering, designing, or piloting of these new ships, remember there's a place for you in the aviation industry. And above all, always remember, America needs flyers. And now back to our story.
Keeping a lonely vigil at the hospital, waiting for Tank to pass the crisis, time moves slowly for Hop. At midnight, John Temple suddenly appears, and after cordial greetings, the young pilot gives the FBI agent the entire history of the mystery of the vanishing men. Now, at almost 2 a.m, Hop finally comes to the end.
I brought Tank here, and, well, that's about it, John.
He'll pull through.
Well, the doctor gives him an even chance. I saw him a couple of hours ago. He knows who the man who whistles is. But before he could tell me, the doctor made me leave.
I see. You're going to wait here all night?
Of course. At least until I know he'll be all right.
Okay, I'll stick with you.
Thanks, John.
Forget it. Gives us a chance to hash this thing out.
What do you think of it?
Well, it's quite a story, to say the least, Hop. A man who whistles the funeral march and was made 12 people disappear.
And according to Bill, there's no common factor to hook up with the disappearances. That's what makes it so hard.
You know, what puzzles me is why I haven't heard about this before.
Uh-huh.
Did Bill say where these other disappearances occurred?
No, not that I recall. Only that it happened all over the country.
Well, I've been pretty busy in Chicago, Hop. Haven't been in touch with Washington, but I'll give them a ring in the morning. Now, about the 2 notes you received. You still have them?
Yes, here they are. Wait a minute. I put them in this pocket here. I'm sure I did.
We'll look through all of them.
Yeah, I am.
Well?
They're gone.
Which pocket did you put them in?
This side pocket in my jacket.
Let's see. Oh, it'll be easy, even for an amateur pickpocket.
Well, I can remember what they said anyway.
I was hoping for a little more than that, Hop. Handwriting analysis and so forth. Oh, well, suppose you tell me.
John, hold it.
What?
Listen.
Great Caesar's ghost. Is that...
It's the man who whistles. He's in Tank's room.
Hey, something fell down.
Come on.
The whistling stopped. Open the door.
Wait. Tank's behind the screen.
Hop.
What?
The bed's empty. He isn't here.
Hop and John Temple stand rooted in the center of the room. The large white screen which shielded Tank's bed is lying on the floor. The bed itself, the covers thrown back in a tumbled mass, is empty. Gang, the mystery of the vanishing men reaches an action-packed climax in our next episode. So tune in and fly with Hop Harrigan, America's Ace of the Airways. So long, Hop. We'll be seeing you same time, same mutual station. Hop Harrigan is a transcribed, copyrighted feature appearing in All American Comics magazine. Presenting Hop Harrigan, America's Ace of the Airways. CX-4 calling control tower. CX-4 calling control tower. Standing by.
Control tower, back to CX-4. Wind southeast, ceiling 1200. All clear.
Okay, this is Hop Harrigan coming in. Yes, it's America's Ace of the Airways. Coming in for another transcribed episode in the adventures of Hop Harrigan.
Before we join Hop and Tank, I'd like to talk about the new Lockheed jet superfighter, the Shooting Star. You've all heard about the amazing speed records this plane has set in its tests, but you may not know how things went in its very first test flight. It was back in 1944, a cold morning in January. Everyone who had worked on the plane was standing around the secret Army base on one of our western deserts. Test pilot Milo Burchin mounted a ladder into the cockpit, snapped down the bubble canopy, and settled into his seat. All of a sudden, the onlookers heard an explosive poof, and before they realized it, the plane had whizzed along the strip and had taken off in a cloud of dust. The Shooting Star kept on climbing and disappeared into the stratosphere so fast that in just about 2 minutes, when they saw a tiny speck dotting the horizon, it was the jet fighter sweeping back, coming at a terrific speed. The speck got bigger and bigger as it headed toward the crowd of spectators, and it swept over them as a blur. Now, all this time, no one had heard a thing. Then, after the ship zoomed by, a blast of sound beat down on everyone.
It came from nowhere in particular, but it completely surrounded them. And as the plane disappeared, waves of the sound blasts continued. It was a magnificent demonstration. Some of the crowd jumped up and down, shouting with excitement. Others cried openly without shame. Fellas and girls, in just a few minutes, I'll be back to tell you more about this amazing jet fighter, the Shooting Star, so don't forget to listen. And now to our story. Tank, a victim of the mysterious man who whistles, was a helpless prisoner in the swaying basket suspended beneath the runaway carnival balloon. Using a high-powered rifle, Gale shot at the balloon from Hop's Beechcraft to make it settle slowly, but the fabric tore, and it plunged earthward at a dangerous rate of speed. Bill King, who had been following in a car, reported by radio a few minutes later that he had found the mechanic, badly injured. Tank was rushed to the hospital, where Hop joined him later, and an anxious night-long vigil began. Then you recall John Temple, a special agent of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, suddenly arrived to help Hop crack the mystery of the vanishing men, and as they waited in the hospital corridor, the young pilot gave him the entire background of the case. Suddenly, the doleful strains of the funeral march echoed through the corridor. Hop and the FBI agent rushed into Tank's room, coming to an abrupt halt at the sight of an overturned screen and an empty bed.
Wait, Scott. Hop, Tank is gone.
The man who whistled. He's come back.
They couldn't have gone far. What's this door? It's a closet. It's empty.
John, the window's open.
That's how they got out. Come on.
Tank wasn't in any condition to be moved. The doctor said it might be fatal.
Obviously what our whistling friend is counting on. Now, let's see, Hop. Oh, it was easy. This room's right on the ground floor. Oh, go ahead, pile out.
And we better call the doctor.
Later. Go on, clear the way.
Come ahead.
See anything?
No, it's too dark.
Which way is the street?
And this way, hurry.
Watch yourself now. Don't run into a trap.
John, I don't see how he could have done it so quickly.
Who?
The man who whistles. We were just outside the room, and we went in as soon as we heard him. How could he have carried Tank out the window?
He didn't.
What?
Keep going, Hop.
What do you mean?
Tank left that room by himself. The bedclothes were thrown back from one corner, not pulled all the way down as they should have been if he was carried out.
Oh, what about the screen?
I think you'll find he knocked it over himself. Easy now, easy. We're almost at the street.
Hey, John, that's a car starting.
It's pulling away. Hurry. No, it's gone. No, we can't catch him now.
John, look. On the sidewalk.
Great Caesar's goat. It's Tank.
Tank.
Wait, Hop, wait.
Tank, do you hear me?
Easy, Hop, easy. Let me have a look at him.
Hey, he's so still.
But he's alive, at least. You stay here, Hop. I'll tell the floor nurse what's happened, so she can get him back inside the hospital.
For Pete's sake, how long are they going to take, John? This is driving me crazy.
Take it easy, or they won't let us stay in the room at all.
I think I'd rather wait out in the corridor.
Say, Hop, did you notice the condition of the room when we came in before?
Yes.
You know what I meant about the bedclothes?
Mm-hmm. Tank got out of bed himself.
Yes, he was in a hurry to get to the window, or he wouldn't have knocked over the screen.
Well, in the way you figure it, the man who whistled started to come in through the window, not realizing Tank could hear him. When he began his infernal whistling, Tank jumped for it.
Either that or
All
else
right,
he...
nurse. That's
wait,
all
John.
we can do for the present.
I think
Stay here the rest of
Yes.
the night and notify me of
Doctor's
any change.
finished.
Oh, good.
How is he, Doctor?
No appreciable change due to his little trip.
Well, that's good, isn't it? I mean, he's okay.
That I'm not prepared to say, Mr. Harrigan. Frankly, I expected him to regain consciousness by this time, but he's still in a very deep coma. Mr. Harrigan.
Oh, yes, sir?
You said he was injured by being thrown clear of a balloon and striking his head against a tree. Are you quite sure of your facts?
Well, I didn't see it happen, but that's what I was told.
Very strange. Very strange indeed. Well, there's no point in your waiting here any longer. I suggest you go home and get some rest. You look as though you need it.
Well, I'd like to stay, if I may, and see Tank when he comes to.
I'm sorry, but even if he does regain consciousness by morning, I cannot permit any visitors. He must have complete rest if he is to recover.
Oh, we'd better follow orders, Hop.
All right. But will you call us if there's any change there?
Oh, of course.
Good night, Doctor. We'll hear from you later, then.
Yes. Good night.
Come on, Hop.
Taking the young pilot by the arm, John Temple half guides, half pushes him out of Tank's room and down the corridor, out into the street. 15 minutes later, they pull up in front of Aunt Agatha's house, where they're met at the door by Gail Nolan.
Please be quiet. Just managed to get Aunt Agatha to sleep, and if she wakes up again and sees you...
Oh, sorry, Gail.
Come in, but quietly. What in the kitchen. Have some hot coffee.
Well, you're the kind of a girl I like, Miss Nolan.
Thank you. I wasn't in the Army for 5 years for nothing. First thing I learned, to keep the coffee fresh and hot. Well, here we are, and I'll close the door so we won't have to whisper.
Is she all right?
Yes, but she's awfully upset about Tank. How is he?
Still unconscious.
He snapped out of it long enough to go after the man who whistles.
The man who... Well, he didn't come to the hospital.
Yes, he tried to get into Tank's room through the window. Tank gave chase. By the time we caught up, he'd made a getaway in a car. Tank was lying on the street, unconscious again.
Oh, Hop, why did Tank do it? When is this going to end?
I don't know, Gail. I honestly don't know.
Well, Hop, from what you told me, we have all the facts. We just got to sit down, apply some brain power, and separate the false clues and the red herrings from the real evidence.
Evidence? Well, certainly enough of it that doesn't get us anywhere.
That's because you've been kept off balance all the time. You haven't had a chance to really sit down and figure things out. So, fortified with a cup of your coffee, Miss Nolan, I suggest we back this thing out right now.
All right. Sit down, and I get the hint, Mr. Temple.
Hey, what was that?
What was what?
I didn't hear anything.
Wait.
Well?
I could have sworn I heard somebody out front. Yes. Someone's walking around out in the hall. Gail, didn't you lock the front door?
Well, I can't remember.
You didn't lock it.
I think he's coming this way.
It isn't. It couldn't be.
The man who whistles? We'll soon find out.
Facing the door to the hall, Hop, Gale, and John Temple wait, breathlessly listening for the first measured notes of the funeral march, which will signal the presence of the man who whistles. We'll know in a moment if it's he, gang, so stand by. At the beginning of Hop Harrigan, you heard of the first exciting test of Lockheed's jet superfighter, the Shooting Star. That first test was held way back in January 1944. Now let's change the scene. It's now 1947, June 19th, and we're at the Muroc Army Airfield in California. Instead of the first model of the Shooting Star, the plane is the P-80R, the latest in the Shooting Star series. It was on this day that the jet fighter set a new world record for speed. The trim little plane passed over the test course 4 times, twice in each direction. Each run was photographed and timed by special cameras set at both ends of the course. The speeds recorded on the test averaged up to an amazing 624 miles an hour. Imagine that. Speeding just 250 feet above the ground at better than 600 per hour. One mistake and the pilot would be finished. But Colonel Albert Boyd was an old hand at the Superjets. He had been flying them for 3 years at that time. And in the 18 minutes that the test took, Colonel Boyd stuck right on the controls and got every ounce of speed out of the ship. Afterwards, when they asked the colonel how it felt to set a new world's record, he smiled and then he said, "Well, it keeps you so busy you don't have time to think. There are so many things to do and so many instruments to watch. But anyway, it's a great feeling." Say, listen, fellas and girls, I know you, too, would like to be in Colonel Boyd's boots. And someday you may be. Remember, he worked hard, and he spent 20 years getting ready for his world record flight. In the scientific air age that's coming up right now, speeds of 600 miles an hour will be like standing still. Get set to take your place in the sky along with these new jets. And always remember, America needs flyers. And now, back to our story. Returning to Aunt Agatha's house across the road from the airport, Hop, Gale, and John Temple, the FBI agent, were seated in the kitchen talking when suddenly they heard someone moving around in the hall just outside. The sound drew closer and closer to the kitchen door, and as they waited tensely, they fully expected to hear the solemn, deadly notes of the funeral march.
Hop, it's just on the other side of the door. Think he'll come in?
If he does, we'll be ready for him. John.
Way ahead of you, pal.
I'll wait back here. Okay, I'll tackle him head on.
Why doesn't he do something?
Gale. The doorknob's turning. Stand by.
Hop, I'm afraid. Jack. What? Oh, no. Jackie, in here.
Oh, for the love of Pete.
Charlie. Hello, man.
Who's he, Hop? You know him?
I'll say I know him.
I'll close the door.
Charlie, what in the world are you doing here?
Just thought I'd come over and see you, ma'am. And if your friend hasn't got back, you know, the one who feeds the hippopotamus, well, I thought I'd help him out.
Hop, what's he talking about? What hippopotamus?
Don't mind him, John. He's a little eccentric.
Now, look here, Jack. I never said mean things about you. And if you don't want me here, well, I'll just... I'll just go away again.
Oh, no, you don't. It's time we got a couple of things straight.
Oh, you're going to trade me your hippo for the elephant?
No, I'm not going to trade you. Now, listen, what are you doing here at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Soft pedal, Jack. Soft pedal. People are asleep.
Charlie, for the last time, what do you want? Why did you come sneaking in here?
The front door was open, so I didn't ring the bell. I didn't want to wake up everybody.
Oh? Then why did you come back here to the kitchen?
I saw the light. Fooled you, Jack, didn't I?
Charlie, so help me.
Now, hold on there, Jack. I don't like your attitude.
You don't like my attitude?
If you don't talk nicer, I won't give it to you.
I don't want your elephant.
I'm not talking about elephants.
Charlie, tell me, what have you got to give us?
A message.
A message? Give it to me.
Well, I don't know.
Please, Charlie.
Okay, ma'am. I'll give it to you.
Miss Nolan, let me take it.
Oh, certainly. The same kind of paper the 2 other messages were on.
John, please read it.
Live your last day. It will be far from long. Before the sun sets, you'll all dance to my song.
So a third message, again in a strange, deadly rhyme, and this time a direct threat to them all. Who is the mysterious man who whistles? And will Hop ever be able to track him down? We'll know in our next exciting episode, gang, as the mystery of the Vanishing Men draws to an action-packed end. So don't miss it. Tune in and fly with Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways. So long, Hop. We'll be seeing you same time, same mutual station. Hop Harrigan is a transcribed, copyrighted feature appearing in All American Comics magazine.
All right, everyone, that is the end of the first half of the listen-along. Have your 5-minute break, and then we'll come back and do the rest. Cool. See you in 5 minutes. Bye, guys. Yeah, music, yeah, music. Oh, I'm live. Oops. Well, 5 minutes is up. Yay. Back to the thingy. Yay. Hop Harrigan. Woo.
Presenting Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways.
CX-4 calling control tower. CX-4 calling control tower. Standing by.
Control tower, back to CX-4. Wind southeast, ceiling 1200. All clear.
Okay, this is Hop Harrigan coming in. Yes, it's America's ace of the airways, coming in for another transcribed episode in the adventures of Hop Harrigan.
Fellas and girls, you know the Army is always on the alert to develop new and better planes for our country's protection in peace as well as in war. The idea is to get faster, more maneuverable fighters and bombers able to carry heavier loads and yet fly fast enough to compete with enemy fighters. One of the latest of these bombers is Consolidated Vultee's super streamlined XB-46. This ship can go much faster than many wartime bombers and can carry a bomb load weighing more than 10 tons. And although the wartime heavy bombers flew with a crew of 9 men, the XB-46 requires a crew of only 3. It's the first bomber of its size built for a 3-man operation. Its crew consists of a pilot, co-pilot, and bombardier. All 3 sit in an enclosed, pressurized capsule located in the forward section of the long, slim body. The co-pilot and bombardier, besides performing their regular duties, take over the tasks additional crew members would ordinarily do, including radio work and navigation. The fact that the XB-46 can zoom along at over 480 miles an hour lessens the need for the many gunners found on regular bombers. And by the way, the Army Air Forces isn't telling us all about the speed of this ship. They say over 480 miles an hour, but how much over is still a top secret. Now, the main reason the XB-46 is so fast is that it's jet-propelled. In just a few minutes, I'll be back to tell you more about the new Consolidated Vultee XB-46, so don't forget to listen. And now to our story. The mystery of the vanishing men grows deeper and more baffling with every passing hour. And Tank, the only one who knows the true identity of the man who whistles the now dreaded strains of Chopin's funeral march, lies unconscious in the Lakeville Hospital. Hop and Gail Nolan, with the assistance of their friend John Temple, the FBI agent, are trying desperately to unravel the tangled threads of evidence in the case, but are getting nowhere when, unexpectedly, they have a visitor. At 3 o'clock in the morning, eccentric little Charlie appears in the kitchen of Aunt Agatha's home with another written 2-line rhyme.
Live your last day. It will be far from long. Before the sun sets, you'll all dance to my song.
And as John Temple finishes reading the threatening verse, there's momentary silence in the room. Then, his face darkening in sudden anger, Hop turns to Charlie and grabs him by the lapels of his coat.
Charlie, this has gone far enough. You're going to talk now, fast and loud.
Wait a minute, dear Jack. Soft.
I said you're going to talk.
What about?
This is the 3rd message we've got, and you delivered 2 of them. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised if you put the 2nd one in my jacket yourself.
I don't know nothing, Jack. Honest, I don't.
Yes, you do.
Well,
Keep talking.
they're awful pretty.
What?
They're pretty. I like polo.
Oh, you do, do you?
Hey, soft pedal, Jack.
Stop.
Gail, he's got to tell me.
You're scaring him to death. You won't get a thing out of him that way.
Miss Nolan's right. Better leave him alone.
All right. Sorry, Charlie. I didn't mean to lose my temper.
Well, you should never do that. How can you get along with the hippopotamus if you lose your temper all the time?
Not that again.
Charlie,
Yes, ma'am.
forget the hippopotamus.
But, ma'am, you just don't forget a hippopotamus. He's big.
It's all right for a few minutes, Charlie. I want you to tell me about this message.
Oh.
Hey, Charlie, where'd you get it?
Who's he, ma'am?
Oh, Mr. Temple is a friend of ours.
Well, does he like elephants?
Yes, of course.
Well, sure I do. Some of my best friends are elephants.
Is he serious, ma'am?
Good luck, pal.
Charlie, about the message.
Yes, ma'am.
Where did you get it?
Well, late tonight, after I wrapped up the elephants I'd sold, I was walking around the carnival, and all of a sudden, somebody put it in my hand.
Who was it? Did you see who it was?
No, it was too dark.
Did he say anything, Charlie?
Yes.
What?
He said the hippopotamus needed me. That if I came to your house and gave you the message, maybe I could take him back with me. But I guess I can't. Not now.
We'll see, Charlie.
What kind of a voice did he have? Heavy or light?
He was whispering.
Charlie, how did you know where we were?
He told me to take a bus. Now, wait a minute, Jack. I'm not talking to you. I'm mad at you, Jack.
Charlie, is that all?
Yes, ma'am. Cross my heart.
What about the balloon? Do you know anything about the balloon?
That was funny, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't, Charlie.
Oh?
The man who takes care of the hippopotamus was in it. He might have been killed.
Oh, dear.
Charlie, why were you whistling the funeral march yesterday?
Now, look, Jack.
Tell me, Charlie.
Well, Mr. the magician always plays it for his act. It sort of sticks in my mind.
Oh, but Mr. didn't play it yesterday.
Hop, are you sure?
Positive.
He didn't, Mr. Temple.
Well, that's something to file away for future reference.
I've got to go now.
Oh, no, you don't.
It's all right.
But how do we know he didn't write the rhymes?
If he did, we'll find out sooner or later. You know that, don't you, Charlie?
Yes, sir. Now, can I go?
Yes.
Thanks. Now I've got to get back to the carnival fast.
What's your hurry, Charlie?
I got to mail my elephant. Psst, Jack.
Yes, Charlie.
Not you. Psst, Jack.
Oh, me?
Yes. When you want to buy an elephant, be sure to come see me. Goodbye now.
Well, that certainly was an entertaining 10 minutes.
But not very illuminating.
Oh, I don't know, Hop. He's given us another angle to work on.
Misto, you mean?
Yes. We'd better check him first thing in the morning. We have a lot of things to check, as a matter of fact, so I think we'd better turn in now. Oh, by the way, can you put me up for the night?
Oh, yes, of course. Bill Kane's in the guest room. I guess you'll have to bunk with Hop.
Say, we should have called him down for coffee.
We'll see him in the morning.
We won't get much sleep. It's 4 a.m.
Long past bedtime. Come on, Hop. Let's hit the sack. Same here, Miss Nolan.
Hey, did you get through to Washington all right, John?
Yes, they're checking. I'll hear from them in a couple of hours.
What are they checking?
I want to know who the dozen people are who have disappeared. You in our office is on the case.
Hey, I just happened to think. Where was Bill this morning?
Oh, he left a note in the kitchen. Said he'd see us later.
Huh. I bet he's trying to break this case all by himself again.
More power to him if he can.
Hop?
Huh?
You called the hospital, didn't you?
Oh, I forgot to tell you. Tank's conscious. Seems to be much better.
Oh, thank goodness.
The doctor said we could see him this afternoon if he continued to improve.
Good. Then we'll find out who the man who whistles is.
Frankly, Miss Nolan, I have hopes of finding out who he is long before this afternoon.
You do?
Yes. If we go over the carnival grounds thoroughly and apply a little concentrated effort, I think we'll find the answer staring us right in the face.
The FBI agent seems strangely confident. Hop and Gale look at him questioningly, but he says nothing more. Is he being overly optimistic? Well, we'll learn more in just a minute, so stand by. Well, gang, so far, you know that Consolidated Vulte's new jet bomber, the XB-46, is the only one of its type, and it's still in the testing stage. Every little part of the ship will have to be tried out and worked over again and again before the Army Air Forces is completely satisfied that it's in top shape. One of the new features to be tested is the two-engine per nacelle arrangement. Now, let me explain this a little more. The XB-46 has 4 General Electric Allison jet propulsion engines, 2 on each side of the body. But unlike other aircraft, the 2 engines on each side are housed together in one nacelle. It's a clean, trim ship, too, super streamlined. The fuselage is long and needle-shaped. The wings are knife-like in their thinness. Other new features include a mechanical system that works the landing gear, bomb bay doors, and brakes, all 3 hooked up to the same system. A new type fuel gauge and a canopy similar to the ones fighter planes have that can be dropped while the plane is in the air. So far, in the tests at the Air Force's base in Muroc, California, the XB-46 has taken to the air 6 times. Total flying time to date is 11 hours. On one of the flights, it carried a weight of over 45 tons, and only once has it hit top speed. Earlier, I told you about the 3-man crew which operates the new jet bomber. That, too, is one of the features being tested. Whether 3 men can operate the ship under all conditions is still not definitely determined. Many gunners are eliminated because of the high speed, but with new and faster fighter planes coming into use, this may have to be changed before long. Fellas and girls, learn to fly now so that you can take your place in the sky along with these new ships.
And always remember, America needs flyers. And now, back to our story. Arriving at the carnival early in the morning, Hop and Gail Nolan guide John Temple around the lot, finally ending up in front of the large tent occupied by Misto, the magician.
Hey, Misto. Misto.
Eh? Who calls my name? Who addresses Misto, the magician?
A little early in the morning to go into his act, isn't it?
Climb off it, Misto. Remember us?
Oh? Oh, sure. Now, look, pal, don't give me a hard time. I don't know nothing about the guy that disappeared. Honest, I don't.
Misto, this is Mr. Temple of the FBI.
The FBI? Oh, now, wait a minute. I told you I don't know nothing. Your friend just went through the trap door.
Take it easy, pal. Take it easy. I just want the answer to one question.
Yeah?
Why didn't you play the funeral march yesterday?
The funeral march? Say, how did you know about that?
We get around. Well?
Come on, Misto, spill it.
Oh, okay. Now, look, I don't want to get in no trouble. Honest, I don't. It's this way. I always play the funeral march whenever somebody volunteers to climb into the box. It sort of makes a good effect. See? Scares everybody.
Why didn't you play it yesterday?
I was afraid.
Afraid?
Yeah, you see, when we was in New City, just before we come to Lakeville, a guy comes up to me and offers me 200 smackers to keep whistling and playing the funeral march every chance I get.
Oh?
Who was it?
Never saw him before.
Did he give you a reason for wanting you to do this?
Oh, he said something about a gag.
Well, what did you do?
Well, he gave me $50 in advance and told me he'd pay the balance in Lakeville. So when we got here, I started in and whistled it all over the place the first night we were setting up.
That's who Dad heard.
Of course.
Why'd you stop whistling?
Well, I was getting scared, so I spoke to the boss about it, and he told me to lay off, to, well, sort of forget the rest of the dough. I was even going to give back the 50, but the guy never showed up again.
Would you recognize him if you saw him again?
I ain't sure. It was pretty dark when he talked to me.
He always picks his spots, doesn't he?
But honest, I thought it was a gag. I didn't know it was serious. I've always played everything clean. Ask anybody.
All right, we believe you. But stick close this afternoon. We may need you.
Sure thing. I'll be right here.
Let's go, Miss Nolan. Hop.
Right.
See you later, Misto.
You bet. Anytime, Chief.
Now, it looks like we're getting somewhere.
John, I don't know what we'd have done without you.
Go on, Hop. It's just that we're taking the time to wear things up. Oh, let's see. Is that the fun house?
Yes. The tank must have gone straight over there after he left Misto.
No, we'll take a look.
There's the side entrance, and the balloon was anchored to that winch in the back.
Let's go inside.
Right.
Better stay behind us, Miss Nolan. It's dark in here.
Right.
Maybe we better find the manager first and have him turn on the lights.
And I have a flashlight. Now, let's see. Hey!
He dropped the flash.
John!
Oh, Hop, I can't see what's happened.
John!
Hop, listen.
And as Hop and Gale stand rooted in the pitch-black darkness of the funhouse, the sinister whistling notes of the funeral march sound once again, almost in their very ears. So now John Temple is the latest victim. When will all this end? Very soon, gang, I promise you. So be sure to listen to the next episode. Tune in and fly with Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways. So long, Hop. We'll be seeing you same time, same mutual station. Hop Harrigan is a transcribed, copyrighted feature appearing in All American Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday, same time, same mutual station. Presenting Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways.
CX-4 calling control tower. CX-4 calling control tower. Standing by.
Control tower, back to CX-4. Wind southeast, ceiling 1200. All clear.
Okay. This is Hop Harrigan coming in.
Yes, it's America's ace of the airways, coming in for another transcribed episode in the adventures of Hop Harrigan. Did you know, gang, that Bell Aircraft of Buffalo, New York has a new helicopter on the production line? A helicopter designed especially to carry the mails? Yeah, and it's christened the Air Mailer.
You won't see helicopters flying along over the countryside from city to city. Regular planes are best for long-haul mail service. But the Bell Air Mailer will serve to overcome the lag in time caused by slow movement of air mail from post office to airfield and from airfield back to post office. This new helicopter can carry 500 pounds of mail, in addition to the pilot and plenty of fuel, to fly a route taking in major post office branches in many larger cities like New York and Chicago and Los Angeles. When this new service begins to operate, your airmail letter will arrive at the post office, be handled rapidly, and sent up to the roof. There, on a regular schedule, the helicopter will arrive, take the mail aboard, and be off to the airport. No more trucks crawling through heavy city traffic with earthbound airmail. But Helicopter Express, from the branch post office in your neighborhood to the transport plane waiting at the field. That's the new super speedy service made possible by helicopters, and especially by the Bell Air Mailer, designed to carry the mails. Yes, the helicopter is here to stay, and the Air Mailer is only one of several new models that are designed to serve in scores of ways on all kinds of jobs. In just a few minutes, I'll tell you about another Bell baby that's flying our way. So don't forget to listen. And now to our story. With Tank unconscious, unable to identify his assailant, the man who whistles the eerie strains of Chopin's Funeral March, Hop and Gail Nolan, aided by their friend John Temple of the FBI, began a thorough and painstaking effort to track down every clue and once and for all break the baffling mystery of the vanishing men. In our last episode, they revisited the fun house at the carnival in order to retrace Tank's steps before his disappearance. But just after they went in, Temple's flashlight was knocked from his hand, the room was plunged into darkness, there was a strangled cry, and as Hop and Gail stood rigid, completely bewildered by this sudden turn of events, they heard the deadly whistling again.
Hop, he's here, in this room.
We need light. Get back to the door.
But I don't remember...
It's this way. Take my hand.
What happened to Mr. Temple?
We'll find out in a second. The door should be right here.
Whistling stopped.
I was afraid of that. Here we are. Quick now. Where's John?
There, on the floor. Do you see the man who whistled?
No, room's empty. He's been slugged. Look at that gash on his forehead.
Well, let me see him.
Is it serious?
Oh, I don't think so. What's this?
What?
It's an empty hypodermic.
Gail, you don't think...
Yes, I do think. This was injected into Mr. Temple's arm. See this wet spot on his sleeve?
Gail, what are you doing?
I'm trying to see if I can recognize any odor on it. No, I can't. His pulse is slowing down. I think he was given a sedative, a strong one.
Now, why in the
We
world...
better get him to a doctor. Help me, Hop.
Oh, I can carry him.
Careful now.
Hey, what's going on in here?
Who's that?
Mr. Boncho?
Yes, but who? Why, Mr. Harrigan and Miss Nolan. Good heavens, what's happened? Who's that?
I'll tell you later. We've got to get him to a doctor fast.
We have one on the grounds. Come on, I'll help you.
Swell, thanks. Now, let's hurry.
How is he, Doctor? Will he be all right?
Yes, I think so. He was lucky he got only a glancing blow. He isn't unconscious now, you know. He's asleep as a result of the hypo.
Well, how long do you think he'll stay under?
Oh, offhand, I'd say about 5 or 6 hours.
Is there anything we can do for him, Doctor?
No, there isn't. Just let him sleep it off. Well, I must be going.
Oh, thanks very much, Doctor.
You're welcome.
Gail, we can't leave him here. We'd better get him right home.
Harrigan, before you go, will you please tell me what's going on? After all, this is my carnival, and if there's any trouble...
There's plenty of trouble, Mr. Bonshaw. This man is John Temple of the FBI.
The FBI?
Yes, he was helping us track down the man who caused my friend's disappearance.
You think it's someone working in the carnival?
Not necessarily, in spite of the fact that most everything happened here. We were trying to trace things from the very beginning. That's why we were in the funhouse.
Have you made any progress?
Mr. the Magician told us something rather interesting.
Oh? What?
Someone offered him $200 to whistle the funeral march here in Lakeville.
Oh, yeah. Yes, he told me about that.
He said you finally made him stop.
Yes, I did.
Why?
Well, I didn't want any trouble.
Why? Did you think there would be trouble?
Didn't he tell you?
Tell us what?
Oh, there was more to it than just the whistling. This guy wanted to really make somebody disappear.
Uh-huh.
What do you mean?
He wanted to tie it up with the axe somehow. You know, after the customer drops through the trapdoor on the stage, get rid of him for a while. Well, I didn't want any part of it, so I put the kibosh on the whole deal.
I see. Mr. Boncho, did you ever meet the man who made the offer?
No.
So there's nothing more you can tell us?
Well,
Yes?
I didn't like the whole setup, so I
Go on.
called in a private dick.
Oh, and what did he find out?
Not a thing.
Well, where is he?
I don't know. Wandering around, I suppose. I honestly don't know why I hired him, and since you got the FBI man on the case, why, I'll give him the sack as soon as I see him.
Well, that's up to you, of course, but is there anything else?
No, nothing. That's all I know.
Okay, then thanks. We'll be going along. You ready, Gil?
Ready.
Will you help me get John out to the car, Mr. Boncho?
Sure thing.
Thanks. That's it. Mr. Boncho.
Yes?
Before I forget, you'll be around the carnival later in the morning, won't you?
Sure. I'll be setting up for the afternoon show.
Okay, because I think I may need you. Is everything okay back there, Gail? Is John comfortable?
It seems to be. Hop, keep your eyes on the road. Traffic's awfully heavy.
Oh, I'll be careful. Hey,
What's the matter?
look at who's coming out of the telegraph office. It's Bill.
Oh?
Hey, Bill! Bill King!
Well, Frank, you going back to the house?
Yes, come on, pile in.
Thanks. I didn't relish the idea of taking a bus.
Oh, hi, Gail. I didn't see it. Great Scott. What's the matter with Temple? Another run-in with the man who whistles. No. Where?
Same place as before. Funhouse.
Good gosh, is he hurt bad?
No, but he's sleeping off the effects of a hypo.
Did you get the guy who did it? Nope. You come up with anything new?
Nope. I'm almost washed up on the case, you know.
What do you mean?
Well, I got a wire from Continental. They think I'm laying down the job, so I had to wire them back and give them some dope to keep them quiet.
Oh, that's why you're in the telegraph office.
Uh-huh. But it's a shame. Now that I tipped them off, a whole flock of reporters will come swarming around. I won't get a beat.
Who knows, Bill? Maybe you will. Maybe you will. Take it easy, Bill. Don't jar him. Try not to. Here, put him on the bed.
Hop, that Agatha isn't home. She's out shopping.
Oh, well, can we do anything for him?
No, nothing but leave him alone.
I took his shoes off. Maybe he'll be a little more comfortable now.
Good. Well, let's go downstairs.
Jake, come on, Bill.
Right.
Oh, phone's ringing.
I'll get it.
Oh, if you break your neck running downstairs like that.
Oh, maybe it's the hospital. About time. Hello? Oh, I'm sorry. He can't come to the phone right now. May I give him a message?
Who's it for?
John. Yes, this is Hop Harrigan. Oh, you did? And? What? Say that again.
Sounds like something important.
Yes.
Okay, I'll tell him. And thanks. Thanks a lot.
What is it, Hop?
Bill, you wanted a scoop for your papers. Well, pal, you're going to get one. By this afternoon, we'll know the answer to the mystery of the vanishing men.
His eyes gleaming oddly, Hop turns back to the phone and begins to dial, while Bill and Gail stand gaping, wide-eyed. This is an amazing turn of events. What has Hop learned? We'll know more in a moment, gang, so stand by. Say, gang, did you know that Bell Aircraft has a new medium-sized helicopter, the 47B, that opens vast new fields to this type of wingless aircraft? Yes, sir. The 47B combines style, comfort, and top-notch utility to make the helicopter a real working tool for a multitude of uses. With a crew of two, this copter is ideal for advertising and promotion work. It can land and take off on a dime and hover in the air like a balloon. But listen to these other jobs the Bell 47B can do. It's a great plane for agriculture, used in seeding, dusting against insects and plant diseases, and vermin control. Now, a farmer can seed a whole field from a slow-moving helicopter in a fraction of the time necessary for the old-fashioned methods. You remember we've discussed this before. Well, then there's surveying, making maps, panels of photographs, which can be joined together into a huge picture of thousands of square miles. Power line inspection, forest fire fighting, and news reporting. Yes, news reporting. And here's how the Bell 47B will give you the news faster and better than ever before. A reporter for a newspaper or a radio correspondent can fly in a helicopter right to the source of the story, no matter where it may be.
He can land without searching for an airfield. He can hover over a flood, a fire, or the scene of any other disaster. And when he has his story, he can get back to the radio station or his paper in no time. And that means more news and better first-hand reports of the news. Don't overlook the helicopter's outstanding advantages as a rescue plane, either. It can carry supplies and doctors to the scene of an accident. It's the transportation of tomorrow here today. So, fellas and girls, learn to fly, and always remember, America needs flyers. And now, back to our story. The 2 hours following the mysterious phone call have been filled with activity.
And now the house across the road from the airport is crowded with people. In the living room are Miss Doe the magician, Mr. Barnshaw,
Eccentric Charlie, and Sheriff Quimby.
Standing in the doorway, looking at them, are Hop,
Gale,
and Bill King. Gale and Bill are more than a little bewildered.
Hop? Why have you called all these people together here?
Yeah, spill it, will you?
You're acting like a bad
Detective movie. You'll find out in a minute. Let's see, is everyone here?
Mr. Harrigan, I hope you have a real good reason for getting me out here. My afternoon shelter's on there soon. I have to be out to Paragon.
Well, don't worry, Mr. Bonshaw. I won't keep you long.
Well, what are we waiting for? I'd like to get back from a checker game at the bar, Hop.
You'll get back here.
Soon, Sheriff Quimby.
Jared,
What is it, Charlie?
you're going to bring in the hippopotamus now?
Not just yet. All right, Gail, will you close the whole door?
Oh.
I'll do it, Jim. Okay, Hop. Thanks.
Now, if you all don't mind, as I said before,
This won't take very long. I asked you to come here because
all of you, in one
way or another, have been involved in this, well,
mystery.
You mean about your friend?
Yes, about my friend, Tank, and about the man who whistles the funeral march.
What about him, Hop?
What about him, Sheriff?
Just this. He's here in this room.
There's stunned silence
as Hop quietly makes this astounding statement. Gale and Bill can only stare at him, while the others squirm uncomfortably in their seats, looking at each other with suspicion mirrored in their glances. Who is the man who whistles? Well, gang, we'll know in our next suspense-packed episode, so don't fail to listen. Tune in and fly with Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways. So long, Hop. We'll be seeing you same time, same mutual station. Hop Harrigan is a transcribed, copyrighted feature appearing in All American Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday, same time, same mutual station. Presenting Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways.
The X-4 calling control tower. The X-4 calling control tower. Standing by.
Control tower, back to CX-4. Wind southeast, ceiling 1200. All clear.
Okay, this is Hop Harrigan coming in.
Yes, it's America's ace of the airways, coming in for another transcribed episode in the adventures of Hop Harrigan.
Say, gang, when you make a long-distance phone call, nobody thinks anything of it. It's taken pretty much for granted. You lift up the phone, ask for long distance, give the number, and they're connected. But making that connection is a big job. And now planes are being used to help make that job a little easier. Most of our long-distance telephone lines are buried underneath the ground in cables, but there are still a few above ground. For years now, telephone and telegraph companies have kept big crews of men on the job patrolling the cables that are above ground and keeping a watch over the routes of the underground cables also. This is an expensive and inefficient operation, though, because no matter how big the crew, only a certain number of miles can be covered in any given day. A few months ago, the American Telephone and Telegraph Company decided to patrol their lines with planes, and so hired an Oklahoma aviation company to do it. Pilots started covering the lines in special planes just 8 months ago, and today they cover literally thousands of miles of cables in many states. One pilot, flying his special plane,
can cover 8 to 10,000 miles of line a week, which is much more than a man can do on foot. These special planes are all metal and use 80-horsepower engines. They can land in any kind of a pasture or small level stretch. When they're patrolling the lines above ground, of course, it's fairly easy. And to help them out in covering underground cable, the telephone company has put up markers which can be seen as high up as 500 feet. I'll give you some examples of just how these cable pilots work in just a few minutes, so don't forget to listen. And now to our story. The mystery of the vanishing men has come to a sudden, startling climax as a small group of people gathers in the living room of Aunt Agatha's house. Mr. Barnshaw, owner of the carnival where the trouble began, Misto, the magician, eccentric little Charlie, and Sheriff Quimby of Lakeville. Gail and Bill King, reporter, stood to one side after closing the door and watched Hop standing in the center of the room, calmly eyeing each of his visitors, and as they gradually fell silent under his penetrating stare, he made a startling announcement.
The man who whistles, the man who made Tank disappear and who attacked John Temple, is here in this room.
Hop's words struck with the force of a thunderbolt. For a split second, no one moved. And then, as though at a given signal, everyone spoke at once.
Just a minute, please. Please.
Hey, folks, relax. Will you give Hop a chance? What are you waiting for, Harrigan? Tell us who it is.
Oh, please, don't keep us in suspense. It's much too serious.
I realize that, Gail, but first, to understand the whole thing, we'll have to go back to the beginning.
When the carnival arrived in town?
A little before that, Bill, when you arrived.
Oh, sure.
You told us you were on the trail of a man who made people disappear, a man who constantly whistled a funeral march.
Yeah, that's right.
And who had already caused the disappearance of 12 people all over the country.
Uh-huh. I tacked on him 2 weeks ago, and I've been following him since.
Hop, we know all that.
Sorry, Gail. I just want to get my facts straight. Well, then, you, Bill, Tank, and myself went down to the station to meet the 12:20 train. You were sure the man who whistles would be on it. And after that, we followed a false scent. Your father, Gail, remember?
I remember all right.
Then, when we went back to the station, Tank was gone. Well, one of two things could have happened. He'd found the man who whistles, or vice versa.
Yeah, but when we went to the carnival, we saw Tank, and he took a poke at you.
Uh-huh. I was pretty dumb about it. I didn't realize he was really trying to protect me.
You mean he knew who this fellow was, the man who whistled?
That's right, Sheriff. Well, the next day we went back to the fairgrounds and saw him again. But before we could speak to him, he disappeared through Misto the magician's box on the stage.
Now, wait a minute, Harrigan. You can't pin anything on Misto.
I know it, Mr. Bonshaw, because Tank didn't actually disappear in his tent. The man who whistles got him in the funhouse.
And then hit him in the balloon.
Right. And by the time we figured that out, the balloon had broken loose and we had to chase it.
I remember that one all right. I sure do.
We managed to get the balloon down, but Tank was injured in the fall. So he still couldn't tell us who the man who whistles was. And by then, he must have been sure.
What makes you say that?
Because he made another attempt to get Tank at the hospital.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Then John Temple came into the case and straightened us out.
You mean he told you who it was?
No, he made us stop and think. Well, Temple, Miss Nolan, and I went back to the carnival this morning. And there he was slugged. Not only slugged, but he was given a sedative to keep him quiet. It's rather strange, don't you think?
I thought it was, too.
If Temple knew so much, why not kill him and get it over with?
Hey, that's an angle.
An important one, Bill. The same applies to Tank. Now, why weren't they killed? They were obviously close to the answer to the mystery.
Well, why, Hop?
For all his supposed deadliness, our pal isn't a killer. He doesn't want to get into too much trouble.
Well, he's in deep enough already, by gosh.
Now, for the 3 messages.
Jack,
Oh, yes, Charlie.
I told you before. I didn't drive it.
Yes, I know, Charlie. And, by the way, do you have your elephants with you?
Why,
What's this about elephants?
Charlie wants to trade 4 elephants for 1 hippopotamus, Sheriff.
Oh, he does he? Well, it ain't allowed. No elephants in the township of Lakeville, by gum. County ordinance says so.
Oh, dear.
Sheriff, I don't think we have to worry about it too much. Charlie, why don't you drop it?
Why, certainly will do no such thing. I'd hurt him.
I'm talking about you, Charlie. The case is over.
Hop, what is this?
Mr. Bonshaw, suppose you tell us.
Well, okay. Cut it, Charlie. You're a bum detective anyhow.
What? Well, gosh, Mr. Barnshaw, I did my best. You just didn't give me enough time, that's all.
Hey, what gives here?
Charlie's a private detective, Bill, hired by Mr. Bonshaw.
Yes, I wanted to track down this business of the funeral march myself.
Well, I'll be...
Jack, want to buy an elephant?
You really had us rolling, Charlie. Especially me.
Rolling? I was all set to buy him a padded cell.
Then you must know who gave you the messages.
I'm afraid I don't, Miss Nolan. I told you the truth. I didn't see the man who gave them to me. It was too dark.
And why did you whistle a funeral march?
Well, I was just trying to start something to see what would happen.
Well, to come back to the messages, The fact that they were in verse showed the writer was quite an egotist. He wanted to make a big splash out of the case. He wanted to show that his work was distinctive.
So?
That's item number 2, Gail. He isn't a killer, and he's a show-off.
Harrigan, will you stop talking in generalities and tell us who he is?
Hey, in a minute, Mr. Bonshaw. There's just one more question. What did the man who whistles want? Well, I got the answer finally through a phone call.
At last.
Who was it from, huh?
The FBI. Remember John called them to check on all the other disappearances, Gail?
Yes.
Well, no one had disappeared.
No. Well, then Bill...
Now, wait a minute, Hop.
You wait, pal, because you've got a lot of explaining to do.
They're wrong. Those people did disappear.
Only in your imagination. You see, I made another telephone call to the Continental News Service, and they told me you weren't working for them anymore, that you'd been fired 2 months ago.
Yeah, that's right, but I was going back.
Sure, you were going back, you hoped. You built up this whole thing trying to get a big splash for yourself in the papers. As a matter of fact, they told me they just received a wire from you telling them you were on a hot story, asking them to put you back on the payroll.
A wire? Hop, we saw him coming out of the telegraph office.
That's when he sent it.
You're talking through your hat.
Am I? You went to Misto the Magician in New City and offered him $200 to whistle the funeral march when the carnival played Lakeville. He did it for one night when they were unloading at the railroad station. That's why Tank went off on his own. He heard Misto. He followed him to the fairgrounds and then spoke to Mr. Bonshaw. Didn't he, Mr. Bonshaw?
Well, yes.
And you were afraid to talk because Tank disappeared the next day. That's why you put a private detective on.
But why didn't Tank say so when you saw him?
Because Bill was with me at the time.
Harrigan, you're blowing up a real pretty pipe dream.
Well, keep listening, pal. When Tank dropped through the trap door, you were underneath the stage. You probably tried to give him a hypo or knock him out, but he was too fast for you. You ran, and he chased you into the funhouse. But there, in the dark, you managed to knock him out. You dumped him into the balloon to hide him temporarily, and then gave Charlie message number 1. And you slipped number 2 into my pocket when I wasn't looking.
Harrigan, you're making us all up.
Then, later on, you tried to pull Tank down out of the balloon, but something happened. You got rattled, let the brake go, and the balloon pulled loose. I'll give you credit for that much. It was an accident.
Good heavens. He followed the balloon in the sheriff's car.
Right. And when he finally caught up, he gave Tank another love tap over the head to keep him quiet again. Sheriff, you said he went on ahead, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right. He sure did. Only found him when he let out a yip.
You brought him to the hospital and then tried to get rid of him again. But he wasn't unconscious, so you had to run for it.
That's a lie.
Is it? Then how did you know that attempt had been made? We didn't tell you about it, and yet when I mentioned it a few minutes ago, you remembered it quite distinctly.
I didn't.
Yes, you did. Then this morning you went out to the fairgrounds, waited for us, and knocked out John Temple.
That's a beautiful story, Harrigan. But you can't prove a thing.
Oh, I can't, eh? Gail, open the hall door, will you?
Oh, yes, of course.
There's your proof, Phil.
Tank! It's Tank!
Hello, Gail.
How about it, Tank?
That's him, all right. That's the dirty little rat.
Standing in the hall, Tank's tremendous bulk completely blocks the door. The final proof that Bill King was responsible, in his bitter, mistaken way, for the mystery of the vanishing men. We'll bring you the strange climax of today's episode in just a minute, so stand by. Now let's talk some more about patrolling telephone cables, one of the newest jobs in aviation. A few weeks ago, down in Oklahoma, a pilot was flying his patrol, covering an underground cable, when he spotted an oil drilling crew getting ready to put up a derrick. Now, putting up a derrick requires much digging, and the pilot realized at once that according to the markers, the oil drilling crew would surely cut across one of the cables if they kept on digging, so he wrote a note warning the crew and dropped it to them in a mailing tube. They stopped at once, thus saving a break which might have tied up transcontinental service for hours. Another time, a pilot was flying his route after a bad rainstorm and noticed that a lot of earth had been washed away from a pole carrying long-distance wires. The pole was just about ready to fall, taking the wires with it. So the pilot sent a message to the nearest repair station, and a crew was on the job almost immediately, repairing the damage. The planes used in this operation, with their special construction, often can land right alongside the danger spot. And sometimes men working in a pasture are more than a little surprised when a silvery monoplane drops down beside them, the pilot gets out and comes over and tells them to watch out for such and such a spot because they might cut into a telephone cable. Outside of the markers, which aren't very noticeable except from the air, there's no way of telling exactly where a cable is, and the men are usually mystified, wondering how the pilot knew where the cable was, until he explains he's carrying a map of the whole system, and he's helped by those ground markers. Yes, patrolling the cables is a brand new business for aviation. Right now, it looks like it's a job that aviation can do better than anything else. Maybe you'd like to have this job in aviation when you get older. But, gang, no matter what aviation job you do, always remember, America needs flyers. And now, back to our story. A massive 4-engine transport drones steadily through the night sky over the desert in the great Southwest. In the flight cabin, the pilot and co-pilot sit, completely relaxed and a little bored by the monotony.
The war sure wasn't anything like this, Frank. I think of some of them fighter sweeps over the channel when we broke through at San Lo. Oh, baby, it got plenty hot.
You don't have to tell me. We didn't exactly have a picnic at Guadalcanal, you know. The Japs were as thick as flies.
Makes this look like a milk run, don't it?
I'm having trouble keeping awake. Now, if I had a couple of zeros trying to...
Hey, wait a minute.
What's eating you?
You said zeros, didn't you?
Yeah, why?
Now, look straight out. Wait, Scott, ain't that a zero?
I'll say it is, and it's turning to make a pass it up.
As the two men sit rooted in their chairs, they see a zero, garishly illuminated in an eerie green light, suddenly bank sharply and roar toward them head-on. Gang, this is the beginning of Hops and Tank's latest action-packed adventure, The Riddle of the Ghostly Avengers. So don't miss the first spine-tingling episode. Tune in and fly with Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways. So long, Hop. We'll be seeing you same time, same mutual station. Hop Harrigan is a transcribed, copyrighted feature appearing in All American Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday, same time, same mutual station.